It's Joni. It's time for Joni.
Hey, Joni, how's it going today?
It is great. It is great. Can't complain.
Wonderful. Well, let the audience know our guest today, Joan Watson. She's our regular Thursday guest, and I'm glad she is. She is an author and a speaker and just an amazing all-around woman. And we've been kind of making our pilgrimage through her book, Making a Pilgrimage, a companion for Catholics. So Joni, I think I was amazed as we've been talking about Rome. And pilgrimage through Rome, a lot of different things in the past. But today, kind of as we move toward the end of this chapter, you're talking about tourists turned pilgrims. Because we always say pilgrims are different than tourists, but I was amazed by the story that you share of Alphonse Ratisbonne. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Ratisbonne. Mm-hmm.
So
Alphonse Ratisbonne. Yep.
Tell us about him, because this is amazing.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places to go in Rome, actually, because it's kind of off the beaten path, and it shouldn't be. Everybody should know this story. So Alphonse Ratisbonne was an atheist, born Jewish, but had become an atheist in his life, and he was very wealthy, and he was just traveling around Europe before getting married. So kind of doing, his little bachelor jaunt around.
It was a
Europe.
bachelor party.
And yeah, he stayed with some friends, and ended up staying with a friend of his, the brother of a former classmate. So his own brother had actually converted to Catholicism, which annoyed Alphonse to no end. But to make a long story short, he ended up spending some time with a friend of a friend, a brother of a friend, and that guy was Catholic, and he started working on Alphonse. And really beautifully, he asked his friends to pray for Alphonse, and so he had all these prayer warriors he didn't know about. And essentially, Alphonse, he has no time for Catholicism. He makes fun of the things he sees in Rome. He just kind of, ridicules the superstitions. Not that different from what we heard about from Martin Luther several weeks ago, right? But there's prayer going on in the background, and for Alphonse's soul. And to make a long story short, the friend kind of challenges him to pray to Our Lady and to pray the Memorare and to wear the miraculous medal. And Alphonse is, of course, he just, he makes fun of this. And the friend is like, well, if it doesn't do anything, if you don't believe it, then what harm is it, right? What is it? How does it harm you to wear this? So they find themselves at a church. The friend has to go into this church to get ready for a funeral, to set up a friend's funeral. Interestingly enough, that friend who had died had been praying for Alphonse.
Wow.
So he had died, and they were setting up for his funeral, and Alphonse goes into the church to see the art. It's actually where some Bernini statues are now. But he goes in to see the art, and when the friend comes out of the sacristy, Alphonse is on his knees at a side altar weeping. And Our Lady had appeared to him at that altar, depicted like the miraculous medal. And instantly, Alphonse had a knowledge of the faith. It had been infused into him. He sought baptism. The priest was like, we can't baptize you. You need to, go through a process of learning. But Alphonse already knew everything. And so he spends the rest of his life working for the conversion of his Jewish brothers and sisters, which is actually quite beautiful, and is buried in Jerusalem.
Wow. I love this.
It's a great story.
It is. Especially since, he does it on a dare. He doesn't even do it with any kind of openness to the faith. It's like, I'll just get this guy probably off my back, and I'll show him that this is not what he thinks it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
It
shows you this power of prayer.
Yes.
And I think it should give us all consolation if we're praying for someone who's left the faith, who's hostile to the faith, right?
Yes.
Alphonse was hostile to the Catholic faith. And to continue to pray for them. And actually the altar, it's a beautiful altar. It's in the Church of San Andrea della Frate near the Spanish Steps. And the side altar is actually where most people go to pray rather than the main altar now, because that's where Our Lady appeared. And people go to pray for relatives and friends who have left the church, who are hostile to the faith. And it's covered with little mementos and what we call ex votos the prayers have been answered for conversion. St. Maximilian Kolbe, went on pilgrimage there frequently and actually celebrated his first Mass as priest at that altar. So,
wow.
We have John Bosco went on pilgrimage there. We have great saints going on pilgrimage to this altar. So highly recommend, if you're in Rome, to seek out this little off the beaten path place.
Tell us the name of the church again.
It's the Church of St. Andrew of the Bush, or of the Woods, San Andrea della Frate, Fratte.
Okay.
And it's very close to the Spanish Steps. So if you're in kind of that area between the Trevi Fountain and the Spanish Steps, it's very close by. And Bernini famously made angels near St. Peter's that line a bridge called the Bridge of the Angels.
Yeah.
The original Bernini angels are there in that church, which is kind of cool too. Copies are on the bridge now. So there's a lot to see in the church.
Yeah,
but it's a really beautiful pilgrimage place.
Does that set up on a hill by the Spanish Steps? I'm trying to remember.
So it's not the church on the hill. There's a church at the top of the Spanish Steps that's San Trinità dei Monti, to the Trinity. This is kind of tucked around the corner.
Oh, okay. Because I was in that
there's
area.
There's 900 churches in Rome, so
I know.
There's one on every other block.
Exactly. You're going to hit one or the other. The other one you mentioned that comes in as a tourist and leaves kind of as was a pilgrim was Elizabeth Ann Seton, one of my favorites. Tell us a little bit about her experience.
Yeah, if you read the biography of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, you know that she was Anglican. She grew up Anglican, again, very wealthy family. And she goes to Europe because her husband's very sick, and they think the climate would actually be better for him to go over to Europe. And she spends time in Italy with friends who are Catholic. And that time is really important in her life. Her husband does end up dying, and if you know her story, she ends up founding a religious order after her husband's death, and of course sets up the first Catholic schools in America. Is our first, American saint, which is a great joy to be celebrating an American, right?
Right.
But Rome, I should say Italy, specifically Italy, really plays a part in her conversion. So she goes over and she visits these churches with her friends because of the art and because of the culture. And, she's liturgical because she's Anglican. She's certainly not Catholic. It's not a time where Catholicism is really accepted in the United States. We forget this, that Catholicism is looked down upon in England and in the United States. And so it was quite a step for her to go from, admiring Catholicism from afar because of its beauty and its history to then becoming Catholic when she returns to America. And so another place that, Rome can work on the heart in a lot of different ways. I should say Italy, because really it was her time in Italy, not Rome. But Italy can work on the heart in a lot of different ways because the Lord speaks through beauty. And so I think what I wanted to convey in these two stories is that, even a person who goes into a pilgrimage as a vacation, is not even thinking about a pilgrimage. The Lord works on us through beauty, through the saints, through prayer. There's a lot of different things that can soften the heart. And I think pilgrimage is a powerful means for conversion and for holiness of life. And we need to remember that. And we bring our friends on pilgrimage with us, like Elizabeth Ann Seton's friends did, because it can be such a tool for evangelization.
Yeah. Wow. And both of those stories to me are so powerful. Elizabeth Ann Seton, a person of faith when she comes to Italy, but again is exposed to the beauty of the Roman Catholic Church there through her friends. And again, a great example for us, right? We can expose our friends that may be struggling and also pray for those who are just anti-faith almost. Thanks, Joni, for being with us. You're amazing. Have a good weekend ahead.
Thanks so much, Pat.
Bye-bye.
God bless. You too.